what I discovered was it was actually a much better experience than many of my friends who went and played Division I and Division II basketball. So can you just speak to that from your experience? You get transfers coming into your program all the time who have come from D1 schools who found that even though maybe they were experiencing their dream, unless you're playing big time minutes at one of those schools and you're playing under a great coach in a great culture, in a great environment, there's a lot of things that can make it not a great fit. And everyone gets sold on the dream. I was sold on the dream until I experienced a different dream and realized, wow, I may have actually found a different and better dream. So I grew up just across the border from Detroit, Michigan, in a small country hockey, baseball, farming community in southern Ontario, Canada. And I had this dream of playing college basketball. Going into my senior year in high school, I sent out 250 letters to every coach at every level. I don't even know if I've told you this story, and I don't think I mentioned it on our last webinar. 250 letters to every college, D1, D2, D3, NAIA in the states of Indiana, Michigan, Ohio, Illinois. And in fact, I even got back some letters from the University of Michigan wrote back to me, please stop writing us. But no, they said, we finished our recruiting classes from here to eternity. So thank you. But it was nice to see Steve Fisher, who was the head coach at Michigan, see his signature. He might not have even signed that, TJ, but don't break my heart. I think he signed it. So I really went after it. I was a 5'11" kid from a small town who just thought I needed an opportunity. And I think more than anything else, I wanted to play at the highest level possible. I wanted to play in front of thousands of fans. I wanted to play on TV. I had all of these aspirations. You probably had those aspirations as well. I mean, doesn't every player have those aspirations? And what I just didn't understand, and it was a reality check when I actually flew down. Dick DeVenzio, founder of PGC, had what was known then as the Point Guard College Camp. And I flew down to Point Guard College. And then 2 weeks later, I flew back down to his national recruiting exposure camp that he put on with 400 top players. And I realized out of 400, I was probably the 399th best player there. I was probably better than one other player, and he was injured. So who knows, maybe he wasn't better than me. I wasn't better than him. But I say all of that to say it was eye-opening. And from those 250 letters, I got a little bit of interest, but nothing materialized. I ended up finding one coach who saw me play in Canada, who took an interest. I couldn't even get Canadian schools interested in me, but found one, and I found my home. And I thought my home was destined to be University of Michigan or Michigan State. And my home ended up being a much smaller, not huge basketball school. And what I found in terms of my fit was it was still a huge stretch. Spent my first 2 years just learning how to play at that level of play. But then what I discovered was it was actually a much better experience than many of my friends who went and played Division I and Division II basketball. So can you just speak to that from your experience? You get transfers coming into your program all the time who have come from D1 schools who found that even though maybe they were experiencing their dream, unless you're playing big time minutes at one of those schools and you're playing under a great coach in a great culture, in a great environment, there's a lot of things that can make it not a great fit. And everyone gets sold on the dream. I was sold on the dream until I experienced a different dream and realized, wow, I may have actually found a different and better dream. So talk to us about that, TJ.
Yeah, and there's so many levels to that. And the first thing is that's really hard as a parent or as a coach or even as a player to understand to say to an 18-year-old. You know, I went on like 14 Division I visits, and I ended up settling on a small Division I. And before I knew it, they got in trouble in NCAA violations. So I went to another small Division I. I was there for a year, had a really bad experience, decided to go live on a sailboat for a year, didn't even think I wanted to play basketball again. Then I transferred to an NAI where I finished it. And like you found my home, and it was the right place for me. But I think that's hard for young people to understand.
Yeah.
But there is a ton, and I've have a ton of transfers that have come into us and had a horrible experience at another school. And I've had tons of friends that have played at different levels that have had horrible experience. And I think as a parent and as a coach, we want our kids to have really good experiences. And I think it's just as important to find the right fit, the place that's going to be right for your child, or right for you as a player, or right for your player. Is it going to be right for you? And Mono, you have to know yourself a little bit. Like, where am I going to go? Like, what is better for me? Would I rather go there? And we have to talk to kids about this all the time. And you sit on the bench and you never play, versus you come to this school and you play 30 minutes. What do you want? And I can't answer that. Some people that rather sit on the bench at this school. Some people would rather play 30 minutes of this. Everybody's different. But probably the most undervalued thing in finding the place you want to play college basketball is, what is the right fit for me? Like, where's the place that's going to be home for me, that's going to grow me into the man or woman that I'm going to be 4 years from now? And a lot of times we're just driven by, well, who's the biggest and best basketball? But this is a huge life decision, and choosing the right fit, talking through that with people that you believe, people that are in your circle, not your hype people, right? But the people that you really trust and love to help you find the right fit for yourself.
Yeah. And tell me, with that being said, TJ, I think this stereotype exists in Canada. It certainly did for me. Does it exist across the US as well? This might just be a Canadian perspective. For me, it was go big, Michigan State, Duke, or not or nothing at all, because you get to a point where you'll take anything. But for me, there was almost this, I think now looking back on it, it was kind of an ego pride thing. I put in so much work. I felt like I deserved to play at a really high level. And I felt like I didn't want to have to tell anybody that I was just going to go to the University of Waterloo in Canada, or go to a Division II or Division III school. Does that exist across the US as well?
Yeah, and Mono, it's a shame. I'm going to go a level deeper. I can't tell you how many times we reach out to a kid in November, December, and come watch them play. We're super interested. Sorry, coach, I'm probably only, going to go Division I or whatever it might be. And it's that time of year right now where they're calling us back and we're saying, sorry, we already signed somebody in that spot. And so I think that's important for young people to know too, is like to leave those options open, because you want to talk to everybody. I think that is true. And I think it wears off when you realize maybe you're not going there. Same experience. I never forget when North Carolina came to watch me play, and coach came to me after the game, and I thought, wow, this is going to be my opportunity, my moment. And coach said to me, listen, I absolutely love watching you play. I would recommend you to anybody, anywhere, because of the way that you play the game, but you're not big enough and fast enough in North Carolina. And it broke my heart. You know what I mean? Like, it was one of those moments, but I didn't want to hear that, but I knew I wanted to play college basketball. I think most people want to, that, especially on the call, their child or them or their player wants to play college basketball, but not knowing the level, not knowing the fit. Sometimes we make some mistakes, and we're not open to looking at everything, when we probably want to keep our options open, because there's a lot of players who, we recruited that thought and maybe did go Division I, that are going to call us 1 year from now. And not to knock Division I, because there's a lot of good college Division I experiences too. But 1 year from now, they're going to call us back because they're not happy. I mean, we talked about this on the last call, but we have never seen the transfer portal anything like this. I know there's probably over 3,000 players in the transfer portal right now. And a transfer portal is basically when a kid says, I'm at school A and I don't want to be there anymore. They enter their name into the NCAA portal. It says, I'm going to transfer. And we as coaches, we look at it and we get updates every single day on who's in the transfer portal. And at every single level, Division I, Division II, Division III, there's just thousands of players in the transfer portal, which speaks to the thing before. They may have gone somewhere, but it wasn't the right fit. And they didn't maybe figure that out on the front end. And so now they're looking to transfer, and that happens all of the time. The transfer portal right now is big in every sport, but it's almost double in basketball compared to any other sport, which is a staggering statistic. Almost twice as many as any other sport, players are transferring at a rate higher, at almost a double the rate of any other sport. So basketball transfers are just happening insanely, just at every single level. And it's changed the landscape within the last 2 to 3 years. It's changed the landscape of how we're being recruited. So for parents, for coaches that are on here, for players that are on here, if we were doing this call 2 years ago, I would be saying different things than I'm saying right now. That's how much it's changed in the last 2 to 3 years.